Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. Yesterday we got our input handling starting to refactor instead of the arrow keys but into our WASD. So we're converting our WASD into these input table, but we need to basically, the first step of rehauling this input detection is first get it working for keyboard, then get it detecting for touch, and then once it's detecting for touch, then we can start to refactor our character movement based on the input table, either on touch or on keyboard. So that's what we're going to be working on. We started trying to get the touch table implemented yesterday, so today will be a continuation of that, and I have a hard out at 4 p.m. so this will be an hour, locked to an hour stream. So let's hope we can get some progress done in that time. So we did refactor out our touch handling, touch detection objects into our touch handling class. So we have an input handling class for the keyboard and a touch handling class for the touch device. And then we were running into this issue where we can't quite, we need to populate an input table based on the whatever's currently being touched on screen, and that involves since we have to do it kind of smart, right? Like at any given frame, it's easier to flush the whole input table and then only populate the input table with what is currently being pressed, rather than trying to modify our callback upon a release to remove the given input from the input table upon a release. So I bring that up because the input list table is currently being used by the keyboard detection, and we have to, I think we have to have a separate touch input table so that we can do it the easy way and just clear it every frame and only populate it with what is currently being pressed. Because with the touch detection, we don't have to keep track of which button was touched last, because we only need that in case for the keyboard directions, because if we walk up and to the right with the keyboard, we'd want to face right. I don't have the player working with the keyboard anymore since we're in the middle of refactoring it, so I can't demo it, but I think this touch input, touch list is what we're calling it here. Touch list is what we need. So we do have a insert touch function and a remove touch function, and then we have our touch detection objects plus all of our callbacks for our touch functions like pressed and moved and released. So I don't think we need, I mean, we need those in the sense that we update all of our touch. Where do we do this? So if this is the init, we don't have an update for this? I think we need an update for our touch handling, so I think we might have not pulled it out from our main. Yeah, right here. Well, we do. Okay, so we call the update function, but then we're not doing anything in an update function at the moment, so I have to figure out where this is. Input handling. See how we have an update right here to handle the presses. We don't have the corresponding update function for our touch handling, so we'll have to add that. We have a render here, and we have, oh, we do have an update. Okay. So I think the thing that confused me is this touch.moved. It's not like we're physically calling this every frame. If there is a touch and that touch changes, this touch moved gets called, and then we just added our own logic to it to say, okay, well now translate the virtual resolution screen X and Y position into our touches. so that it works on all device sizes, and then go ahead and take the DX and DUI. We don't do anything with that, but I'm just taking it in case we might need it. And then we go ahead, this is the flush for our D-pad to make them all non-pressed. This is the same tactic we want to do for the touch list table. We want to flush it to an empty table and then check for the collision. And then we've got to do something similar, which we made our functions up here. Insert touch detection. We take a direction count and we cycle through all the touch lists and we count how many directions are equal to the given parameter, so that we only insert that direction into the touch list if there's no corresponding direction already in there. So it'll only input left if left is not already in the touch list. And then for the touch remove, we go through and until the value is the direction of the parameter, say left, then we'll remove left from that touch list table. So I think we're on the right track. I think, and it's tough to test because we have to deploy to a touch device in order to test this thing. But let's walk through here. In the update, this is the button handling, where it checks whether or not the button needs to be pressed. We're playing a sound if you press A button. Okay, so this is, I think this is where we would want to change. Insert touch direction with the button direction. I don't think we have a button direction for a given button. So here's the other issue. For the touch device, on keyboard, if we want to walk diagonally up and right, we would hold both up and right. But on the touch detection, we have a touch detection object in the corner in between the up and right. So it's not checking, our touch isn't going to be checking if both up and right's held, only if the top right box is being collided with a touch. So in that case, we need to be able to specify if up and right is held, then we need to insert both up and right into our touch list table. Even though one thing is being pressed, the top right, we'd have to insert into our input list both up and right, because that's the only way we're going to be able to consistently modify our velocity for diagonal movements. So I think we have to... This isn't quite right. Like, I don't think... Well, let's see. We cycle through all the D-pad touch detection objects if the button is pressed. So we would need to flush our touch list table before we do this. So we would say, okay, go ahead and flush your touch list. And then if the button is pressed, go ahead and take this button.direction and input it into the touch list. Because if we look at this insert touch direction, it's cycling through the touch list, and if it doesn't already exist, it goes ahead and inserts the direction. So we need to give our button a dot direction of a string that is equal to the type of value we want to insert into the touch list. And the tricky part is for the diagonals, because we have two strings to insert. But I don't think it'll be that hard. I think it'll be the same thing. So let's go to our touch detection object. We need a dot direction here as well. We'll set it to an empty string, I guess. And then we need to initialize. I think we need this. I think we can do this where we can say we pass in a direction after our color option. And we're going to say, you know what, the direction gets populated with direction if it exists, or nil if it doesn't, right? So if there's no direction passed, let's see if that allows us to compile here. Okay. So it is okay with us doing this. So now we just need to give our touch detection objects an actual direction of the string that we want to insert. So in our, touch handling, We have a D-pad. Now, I think... Okay, so in our touch handling right here, we give XY color, and then we need direction. So this will be a table of both up and left as strings. This one will take in just up. And then I think we'll be able to insert this table of strings like this. I think it'll be okay. We'll see. Okay. So for AB select and start, there is no corresponding direction because we're not inserting them into the touch list. We probably should like either. The touch list is special because you could like multiple directions on the D-pad need to be calculated in order to like do certain things, whereas the A and B button and select and start just kind of like, is that thing down or is it not down, and it does a very specific thing. So I think we don't need that. Let's make sure we don't crash here. Okay, so in our touch handling, we're passing the string of the direction as a parameter. In some cases, a table of strings as the parameter. So now in our touch detection object, we have access to the self.direction, which is either a string or a table of strings. Now, we'd have to do something special if it is a table of strings, actually, because we're not trying to insert a table at the index. We're trying to just insert values into our table list. So let's think about how we would do this. Okay, so our touch detection object has the field that gets initialized. So in our touch handling, we're gonna say, back when we do this, we flush our touch list, so we're starting from scratch. Then we're going to cycle through all the collidable touch detection objects, and we only want to do something. We only want to do this if there is a direction. So like for A and B, we don't, A, B, start and select, we don't want to, yeah, we might want to change. It's a little tricky. Like we might want to change our direction D-pad to be in their own table so we don't have to try to insert a direction from an A and B button and start and select because they don't have a direction. But then we have to update the rendering and the update for both our direction D-pad and our A and B buttons. And you know what? It makes sense because our table's called D-pad, right? It's not called also A and B and start and select. So let's just keep our D-pad to D-pad, and we'll call buttons, and then we'll insert them like that. Now, for right now, I won't render the buttons and update just yet, but yeah, we want to fix this. Lua 88. Yeah, this, okay, so this is a button now. This would be buttons at index, whatever a button is, which is 1. Shit. Bro, what the? Okay. Okay, sweet. So we flush our touch list, get rid of anything that might have been in there. Then for every button in our dpad, if that button is pressed, which means we're colliding with it, because this is what we're doing up here, we turn button press to true if we collide with it. I'm going to say, and you know what? Yeah, we might want to, we'd only want to cycle through our touches. So I think we can do touch. Well, because we only need to insert a field if it is touched. So we only want to, shit, well, we don't know which one's touched unless we check which one's pressed. So, and that's what we're doing here. So I think this is okay. If the button is pressed, meaning it was collided with, we're going to go ahead and insert touch direction and give it the button dot direction. Okay, so here I think we need to, this works fine if there's only one direction in each dot direction, but some of them, the diagonals have 2 values. Maybe we just test this on the phone and see if we're looking at it. So we don't necessarily need our remove touch direction or remove touch, because this flushing of the touch list is actually kind of doing that for us. So we should be, if we look at what's in this insert touch direction, all it is cycling through the touch list, and if the value is equal to the parameter and it doesn't already exist, we're going to insert it into the touch list. Okay. So the parameter we're cycling through is the button dot direction. So if we type up, it'll cycle through up, check the touch list for any up values, and if it's not in there, it's going to insert up into the touch list. Okay, I think this is enough for us to test in our phone. So, oops, let's try it. It's going to be a little bit of a hassle to switch over here, but let's try it. So we've got a commit. Let's do, yep, that looks right. So we're gonna say that this is testing touch list inputs from touches. Okay, and then we're gonna push. So we should have that on our other machine here. We need it on the other machine because we need to compile to iPhone, and the way to do that is from a Mac. So I'll switch over to the Mac and we'll try to do it. We pull up. What did we change so much? I must have not pulled for a little while, because that's kind of a lot. So we just pulled the changes. We need to compile a mobile.love, which we will remove the old one first. Now all we've got to do is say zip9 mobile.love. We just made a .love zip, and then we need to just put it on our phone here. So we'll go from Tashio and then onto my phone. Okay. Okay, we'll delete the old build. Oh, we didn't full screen it. We didn't full screen it. Let's do that real quick. We have to do that for the mobile deployment. The web deployment doesn't need full screen, but this one does. So let's... All we gotta do is go into our full screen in main and change it to true. Okay, let's recompile. Okay. Then we need to drag and drop mobile.love into our love folder. And it looks like it works. Let's test it on mobile here. Okay, we're looking for the Touchlist. Oh, and you know what? We need the Game Boy UI, obviously. Hello, Waidu. How's it going? All right. Yep, we need to pull up our Game Boy interface. So right now we have it where if you hit G, you'll pull it up, but we need the G to be toggled automatically and full screened for a mobile deployment. So here is our develop overwrite. So if I turn that off, I think it defaults, yeah, to that. Okay. So if we go, I don't want to change it to full on here because this is my other machine, but we'll say we'll add this as a commit. Actually, yeah, we don't need to do this. We can just do it on Mac here real quick. We don't have to do this. I'll delete the old build. We'll come into our constants here and just turn off the develop scale factor. That should be it. Rezip it. Okay, let's try it. Shoot, man. Touch handling 55. Attempt to index a nil value. Touch handling 55. Let's see what that is. Yeah, we don't want this. Yeah, this is for our select button for our help menu, and we change this into a buttons table. And you know what? We'll do this. We'll do this. Where is the select is on the third button, so we'll say buttons 3. Buttons 3 collides will toggle the help. And then let's do this on the Mac build. Just because it's that, it's that one change. So we should be able to find it easy. It's in our touch handling, so. Jeez, okay. Okay, it is... what, line 50-something? It was line 55 in touch handling. Okay. All right, let's rezip. Sweet. Let's try it. Okay. Oh, yes. That's it. Okay, see, this is exactly what I thought it would do. Insert the whole table, right? So it's an empty table, and then diagonals is a table of one index holding two strings. So we do need to do something specific for that, but this is fantastic. And then if we hold, if we hold multiple, it knows multiple. It is counting how many, well, yeah, it is counting how many touches are being held for it. That all looks right. We just need the diagonals to insert one string instead of the table of strings. This is huge though. And then we're not rendering the, we're doing the select for the help key, but we're not doing our touch detection renders, but they're still working because they're working because we can see that this is working. It's just that these buttons don't do anything at the moment. This is great. This is great. This is almost exactly what I wanted to get done today. If we can get the touch to only hold the values, not the table of values, then we'll be in business. So let's keep going. We're almost there. Okay, so before we insert the direction, we need to check, we want to insert the direction if there's only one direction, but we want to splice out the directions if there's more than one. So we want to say, like, if there is... If the touch list, well, how would we do this? It's the button direction, right? So if the button direction has more than one value, meaning it's a table of up to two strings, then we would want to insert each one. So we would say, we would run our insert touch detection twice. And the direction we want to give it on the first one is the button.direction at index 1 and the button.direction index 2. And then maybe to be a little safer, it should be okay, but if we say that the number of values in the table, I don't know if this will work. I don't know if that'll work. What we can do, oh gosh. Okay, maybe we just do a little test here, and we can say local string test gets a table just like we've got, right? Where it's two strings, one of like up and left or whatever. So this is the table that we're getting currently, which is substituting for our button.direction if it's a 2-button input. So what I want to test here is say local, we'll just say local answer is the number of string test. So if this answer is equal to 2, then I think we'll be okay. Because I'm trying to see, it might be just 1 because there's one element in here. I think that's right. I think answer will be 1 instead of 2, and we'll have to figure something else out. But let's try to do, we only call the touch handling render. No, we do it whenever. Okay, so we should be able to say, let's print out the number, or let's just print out the answer. If this is 1, we'll have to do something different. If it's 2, we're ready to rock and roll, but I don't think it's going to be 2. We'll see. We need to update this. No? String test, number of value. Okay, well. it doesn't have a value. So if we were to say it's just one value in here, does it say anything? What are we missing here? String test, number of string test. Oh, we're not even putting the freaking... Okay, never mind. We've got to put in the answer to even register, so we have to concatenate here with our actual answer value. And then we'll be able to see a number here. Okay. 103. It is answer 1. Yeah, we've got to do this differently then. So instead of storing... Okay, so what we have to do here... I mean, we can test this. Because ideally what we want is this, where we say this up is the first index, this left is the second. And that will hopefully give us an answer of 2. And that's what we would need. Answer 2, yeah. That's what we need. So when we go to insert it, we need to insert them in their own tables like this. So what that looks like is in our touch detection object, when we take it from the parameter, from the direction parameter up here, instead of just placing it here, we want to ask, actually, maybe we can say, maybe, I think if when we define this thing, when we give it the parameter, I think we can just pass it in as the individual tables instead. So look, we put, shoot, it'll be a little different. You know what, maybe we do this where we say we want to pass in 2 directions as strings. Let's try this. Because what I don't want is a bunch of brackets clogging up the input, the touch input. So we'll just give it multiple inputs, and then in our touch detection object, we'll have a direction and then second direction, and we'll assign direction to direction, and we'll assign second direction to be equal to the second direction, or an empty string, or nil, or I want to say or nil. Okay, we have to assign a direction into the touch detection. No. I think or nil is fine. Let me see if we crash. Okay. Should be okay. So direction will be direction as the parameter we pass in. Second direction will be second direction if we pass in one. If we don't pass in either, they'll be nil. So when we go to insert it, we're inserting them. We have to go if there is a second direction, we'd have to go insert first the first and then the second. So in our touch handling, when we go to insert, right here. So instead of this, we'll say if there is a button dot second direction, meaning it's not nil, meaning we gave it initialized. If the button has a second direction and it's pressed, then we want to insert 2 values. And the first value is the direction. The second value is the second direction, or direction. What do we do? Second direction? Second direction. Yep. So if there is a second direction, go ahead and insert both the first direction and the second direction. Otherwise, meaning if the button's pressed and there's just one direction, then go ahead and just insert that direction. So let's try this. Let's try it. Let's try it. It might work, it might not. Let's see. So we'll say add multiple directions for touch detection objects. Sweet. And then let's try. Let's try. Okay. We'll swap over here. Okay, so we need to remove this old build. Delete it from our phone. Come on, man. We need to git pull our changes. Come on, man. Now, is this in full screen? I don't think it is. It is not. We'll make sure it's in full screen. Okay, we should be okay. So let's zip. Plop it on our phone and see. Oh my god, it worked. It worked. That's exactly what we want. We want the individual values. Oh. We're wrong on this one. So it looks like our bottom right, we didn't take out the brackets. So the bottom right one we need to take out still. But this is very good. Because now we're able to tell, you know, which direction we need to know, because the string value that is in this touch input list is corresponding to the state of our entity for our player. So if we're in a state of walk left, we know if left is pressed, we're in a state of walk left, right. So now we're getting proper values to assign into our character to make him move. Oh, this is great. Okay, so our bottom right is wrong. Other than that, it's looking like it's working. So we need to go to where we define our touch detection objects, which are in our touch handling. And we need our bottom right. Yeah, we missed it right here. Right here, we need the individual strings as parameters, and that'll fix it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is... that is what I wanted to get done today, and we got it done. So I have some party to prep for, so I've got to get going. But what we'll do is add everything. We will commit with a message saying touch list table now populating upon dpad touches. Excuse me. Okay, we get pushed. Sweet. That was a nice condensed commit there. We got it working on touch. So what's next is, first step was register the input. Second step is treat the input. So if we're holding both upright and down left, we only want one of those values. Actually, yeah, I think what we need to essentially kind of like cleanse our input, in the sense that if contradictory inputs are held, we just flush the input list, because we're not going to be moving left and right at the same time. It's going to screw up the dx, the dy, and the state machine. So we're going to basically take our input and cleanse it into an output list, which will then handle multiple input handling, so that all we have to do is we have a clean table of what we need to output, and then we can say, well, if our touch list output is right, then we know our character needs to go right. If our input is right and left, our output table will say, hey, those are directly contradictory. Let's clean the touch list. Therefore, the output table will be empty. Therefore, we don't move. We don't change the state, because you're just giving it contradictory inputs. We're just going to ask you to play nice. If you don't play nice, nothing happens. So I think that works, because we don't want people to try to jank it up and try to hold, up and to the right and down and up, and try to get, we're trying to just limit how many bugs are going to be for walking. So we'll have to do that for both. We'll have to cleanse the input list for both the keyboard input list as well as the touch list table. And then once we've cleansed those, then we can start to reincorporate and refactor in our players' movement and state animation based on the output list. So that'll be it. That'll be coming up. I'll raid out here. And then we'll just call it a night. I might be back later tonight to stream. It depends how I feel and how late people stay, but I'm gonna go raid out to Hypnotic. We've been raiding him a lot lately. He's always streaming, so I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of the day.